Bitcoin is back at $72,000. We have less than 2 weeks to go till the Bitcoin halving, till the newly issued daily supply gets cut in half, so it becomes even scarcer. That means there's less selling pressure. And historically, this halving has kicked off massive bull markets, massive price increases to the upside for the previous halvings. So what is going to happen this time? I want to deep dive into the charts. I want to share a big picture overview of what I think is happening in the markets and what we could expect for the next couple of weeks, but also for the next few months ahead. Now, today is April 8th, and it is a special day because there is going to be a complete solar eclipse that is visible over most of North America, and we will find out very soon if that's going to have an effect on the market. Sometimes these eclipses do tend to create big pumps or big dumps in the market, and we will find out soon. Before I dive into today's content, I also want to let you know this is the last day, the last chance right now that you have to join my VIP membership, because at midnight Eastern time tonight, April 8th, I'm closing the doors to new members. I'm just shutting it off because we are progressing so much in this bull market, and I just want to avoid taking on people as this market progresses, go higher and higher and higher, because as the prices go higher, the risk of buying the top becomes higher, so your downside risk is a lot more, plus the potential upside, the higher that we go, there's less chance to make money. So I'm doing the safe thing here. I'm cutting off today, April 8th at midnight Eastern time. The link is in the description down below, because I want all members, everyone in VIP, to be able to profit and to be able to still have some bull market left, rather than people joining at the top of the market when everything is way up and then asking me, which coins do I buy when everything is up 10x or 20x or 30x. At that point, the only way to make money at the top is simply by cashing out of all the spot positions and turning into a trading style where we can short the markets on the way back down once the bull trend has broken and once the cycle has peaked. And that is obviously what we will also be doing in VIP. But for now, we're going to be focusing on riding out the rest of this bull market and then hopefully being able to sell as close to the top as possible, whether that's in several weeks from now or whether that's in 6 months or maybe even 12 months from now, if the previous bull cycle history repeats, where it runs 12 to 18 months after the halving event. So last chance, if you want to join my VIP, the link is in the description down below. Click that, all the details are there. Sign up. You have no risk. You have a full 60-day money-back guarantee. But after midnight Eastern tonight, you won't be able to join. So I recommend just sign up. Then you have a full 60 days. If you want to change your mind or you're not happy with what you see, you can always get a full refund, no risk. But the doors close tonight. All right, so let's dive into the weekly chart because it is Monday and the weekly candle has just closed. You can see we are trading here at 72,247. That is pretty impressive. We're above the previous all-time highs, which was just a wick. We're way above the weekly candle closes, which was 65,000 last cycle. Now we just had the weekly candle close, and it closed, let's zoom in here, it closed at 69,358. And since that close, which was only several hours ago, we are now at 72,000. You can see here what's happening. We had this break, this wick above the previous all-time high, and now we've been consolidating here. We wick down, and so far this trend is still very much bullish. Now the definition of a bullish trend is simply making higher highs and higher lows. Every time it pulls back, the low of that pullback should be higher than the previous one, and that is exactly what has been happening since January of 2023. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Even this last week was a higher low once again. So this trend technically is still in full-blown bull mode on the weekly chart, and that means the trend is your friend. We follow this trend until invalidation, until we get a lower low, which is a technical market structure break of the bullish trend. Until then, the direction is up, and we are going to see how high this goes. We're in price discovery, basically. We have never been here before, besides this wick a couple weeks ago. We're higher than previous cycle, and right now, we're going to wait and see and find out. Do we see continued inflows into crypto? Do we see more money pour into the ETFs, especially post-halving, when the Bitcoin that is created every single day going forward after the halving is cut in half? So that means there's 50% less Bitcoin to sell every day that the miners can sell, less selling pressure, and that means there's 50% less Bitcoin to be able to be bought on the markets every single day. So if the demand keeps up, there's less supply. In theory, that should propel the prices further. And one thing that we have again is every single time previously, once we broke the previous all-time highs, is we went a lot higher. So what happened last time is once it broke the 20,000 previous all-time high, it went from 25,000 to 65,000. That is a little bit less than a 3.5x or a little bit more than a 3x. Now we broke the previous all-time high of 69,000, and even if we get a 2x this time, that takes us to 140,000. If we get a 1.5x, that takes us to just over 100,000. And you can see here on my chart, I have this zone highlighted over here, which is between 95 and 105,000. I'm basing that on two things. Number one is the Fibonacci extension of the whole 2022 bear market. It is a 50% or a 61.8% retracement extension, which puts us in that zone. And that also comes up with the confluence if you draw this trend line from the previous cycle peaks, somewhere around there. That is what I would like to see for this cycle at minimum. Maybe it goes beyond that, but if it gets there, I think depending on how quickly it gets there, like if we go from 72 to like 95 or 105 really quickly, like in a matter of the next few weeks, then potentially I would start to get cautious at this level and start watching on the lower time frames for potential tops, because that is basically technical resistance the way that I can see it. Also, I will show you a little bit later on in this video, so make sure you keep watching. I'm going to show you some on-chain data and charts, which usually I only do inside VIP, but this time I want to show it in this video here on YouTube because I think it is important to understand what is happening and how far along we are potentially in the cycle. So, big event, we have the Bitcoin halving coming up. At this point in time, that is less than 12 days away. It might happen on April 19th, it might happen on April 20th, and that would be very, very interesting. I mean, if it happens on April 20th, it's 420, it's basically a big meme, especially since the previous cycle, Bitcoin topped at 69,000, so we have 69,420. If that happens, big meme, it would be very strange. But let's see what happens. Basically, less than 12 days to go until this Bitcoin halving. Now, one thing I still get asked quite a bit is my front run theory still in play? Now, for the past year or so, I've been saying that we could be front running the regular 4-year cycle, which means that every halving, we had a bull market that came after that for 12 to 18 months. Meaning if the halving is now, we would be looking at a peak for the cycle somewhere in April next year, maybe even as late as November of 2025, if those previous cycles repeat. And my front run theory was basically like, we will see this cycle play out a lot sooner than most people expect, and then peak and then drop quicker. So far, we have seen that play out. We have seen the Bitcoin all-time high get hit before the halving. This hasn't happened before in previous halvings. Okay, so we are already ahead of schedule in that regard. Maybe the ETFs have something to do with that, maybe not. Regardless, we have already hit new all-time highs before the halving, which hasn't happened previously. Now, if this continues at a more rapid pace, and like I said, if we in the next few weeks hit maybe 95 or 105,000, depending on how fast we go, we might have to start getting cautious. Now, I have shared in previous videos, I'm not going to repeat that again, that I believe that altcoins still have a lot of upside ahead, because the charts are simply lagging behind. It's Bitcoin, then usually Ethereum follows, then altcoins follow. So while we have Bitcoin here, this was the accumulation zone and it is way up, it is at new all-time highs. Most altcoins, or a lot of altcoins anyways, are still in this accumulation zone and haven't really left it. And that is why I say most altcoins probably still have a 5 to 10x upside. Not every single coin, some have already run quite high, but I do believe that we still get an alt season, and I do believe that we still get a crazy pump in altcoins. Now, whether that's going to come in the next few weeks or whether that's still going to take till the end of the year, that's something that remains to be seen, and we take it week by week and we simply follow the charts. But I do think there is that lot of upside left, and that is again why I'm closing the doors now, because that would in theory allow everyone who's in VIP, who's positioned in altcoins, still to be able to make a 2x or a 3x, hopefully more than that. Obviously nothing is guaranteed, but that is the idea behind it, and that is why I'm closing the doors. So again, if you want to join a VIP, the link is in the description down below, and this is the last chance because I'm closing the doors at midnight tonight. So let me share with you some charts of previous cycle data that will allow us to kind of have an estimate of where we are in the cycle and how close we're potentially getting to a cycle peak. So besides the regular halving data that we have where we know previous cycles peaked at 12 to 18 months post halving, we also have all these other metrics. These are free, by the way, on lookintobitcoin.com, so you can go and check these out for yourself. So let's take a look at the 2-year MA multiplier, and you can see there's two bands. The green basically represents being oversold, and the orange over here represents being overbought. So ideally, around the green or below the green is the best time to accumulate Bitcoin and crypto, because that is when it's at a discount. When it gets closer to the top or above this red band, that is the time to get out. You can see how this has gone. Since 2012, it poked above here. That was the top signal. Poked above. And every cycle, of course, there are diminishing returns because the market cap gets bigger. So it takes more and more capital to be able to increase in price and percentages. So every single cycle, we can expect a little bit lower. That is why you can see the previous cycle only touched the red band, whereas the ones before it, it actually poked above, and that marked a peak. So as you can see here, we are currently a little bit more than halfway between the green and the red is currently sitting at 151,000. So as we get closer to 100,000, I would start to get cautious based on this metric. Then we have the Bitcoin stock to flow model. This was applied from gold to Bitcoin. I think it was Plan B on Twitter, this Twitter persona who made this really famous last cycle, and it didn't end up working as he intended it to. But actually, so far, it's working pretty well based on the halvings. You can see the vertical lines are the halvings. And you can see, because of that supply cut every 4 years, you can see more or less in a general trend, the Bitcoin price has kind of followed the stock to flow model. And if that were to continue and this model would be correct, then sometime by the next Bitcoin halving, so by 2028, we should see prices above $400,000 per Bitcoin. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen this cycle. It could, but basically within the next 4-year window, we should be able to see that level. And that's exactly what happened previous times, right? We were here at about 10,000. The suggested model price was about 50,000. It hit it in the previous cycle, pulled back, but now it is there again. So far this model is actually still working. And if this continues to play out in the next 4 years, we might see $400,000 per Bitcoin. Then we have the 200-week moving average heat map, which is basically just shows in a color-coded way the distance of Bitcoin from its 200-week moving average. And the further it deviates, the further it extends from the 200-week moving average, the more likely it becomes that we are reaching a peak, which you can see here is marked by the color coding. Here, when it gets to red, that is an extreme deviation, and that is when we should probably look at towards selling. But as you can see here in the previous cycle in 2021, we didn't even get to red or even to orange, so there are diminishing returns. So right now we are still sitting here in the blue. When this turns to green or yellow, then we could start becoming cautious and looking for a potential cycle peak top. Now, another very popular indicator is called the Pi cycle top indicator, and this is previously predicted cycle tops. And you can see here how it works is it has two different moving averages, one in orange, one in green. And when those come together, it basically predicts these tops. You can see here when they converge, when they cross over each other, that tends to mark the top, and that has happened in previous cycles. And as you can see over here now, there is still a distance between the orange and the green, meaning they haven't crossed yet, meaning technically there is still probability that we continue higher here until those two MAs cross, and that would be, again, a warning sign. Then we have the golden ratio multiplier. You can see, you can look at these different bands and color codings, and basically towards the bottom below the orange is the best time to buy, the optimal time to accumulate, and as it gets closer and closer to the top, to the red, that becomes a warning. Now, we're currently sitting right now at the red, but if you look at previous cycles, it actually spent some time going above the red, quite a few months. So I think there is still room here for upside, but we are getting closer and closer towards the end, and that means we don't know how much time we have left. It could be 12 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 months, who knows? It all depends, in my opinion, again, based on the chart, how quickly we move higher. If we go from here, from current levels, from 72,000, and we go to 100 or 120,000 or 140,000 in a matter of the next 1 to 2 months, we could potentially be looking at a top. However, if that kind of pauses and consolidates, maybe we get a pullback May, June, July tend to be bad months for crypto, for the stock market. So maybe we see a correction. Then it's more likely that we probably continue towards the end of the year. So this is all how it works. Nobody can perfectly predict any sort of top based on a date or a price. It's all about if then. So we follow the charts and we have certain rules and certain criteria that we look for. And if something happens, then a certain outcome becomes more likely. But if something else happens, then another outcome becomes more likely. And for now, the trend is bullish. So as long as the trend is bullish, we remain bullish and we follow this as much as possible until that trend breaks. And at that point, it's probably time to get out and then take a more trading type of mindset where we start looking for shorting the markets in the bear market, because there is just as much money to be made to the downside as there is in the bull market. It's just a bit of a different strategy because it requires more technical trading, and you will have to use an exchange to be able to short with leverage. Even if you trade at a 1x or a 2x leverage, you still need to have a different concept to only buying coins in the bull market, which is spot, where you have no liquidation risk and you can get 10 or 15 or 20x multiples on certain coins at certain conditions. So look, overall, to summarize all of this, we are in a bull market. The trend is strong. The trend is up. The trend is our friend until the end. So we try and stay bullish as long as possible until we see technical invalidation of this trend, which simply put means a lower low on the weekly, maybe even on the 3-day time frame. And until we get that, the expectation is higher. We expect higher in Bitcoin. Ethereum is still lagging behind, so I expect that to play catch up at some point. And I would expect Ethereum to hit previous cycle highs, which is $5,000, and probably higher than that. And then we still have all the altcoins that are still way, way down. So you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, then you have the altcoins. So now we're still in the mode of Bitcoin moving higher. Once that's done, we probably see money flow over to Ethereum, really pump hard, and then we see altcoins really, really pump. And at that point, it's probably time to cash out and get out. But again, it's about following the chart, the market structure, and the technicals, and we take it a week at a time. For now, I'm still expecting a lot more upside before this cycle is done. So, final reminder to join my VIP. The doors close at midnight tonight. The link is in the description down below. Come and sign up. You have no risk. You have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So just sign up, think about it later, check out what's on the inside, get access to all the courses, the updates, the research, Discord community. You have 60 days. If you're not happy, you can get your money back in full. But the doors close at midnight tonight, so you do need to sign up now. The link is in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you inside VIP.